Thank you, Callie. Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Jennifer Morrison. Thank you for joining us here for the Public Safety Communications Task Force. Today is October 3rd, 2023 at 11 a.m. and this is special meeting number 5 of the task force. Just want to note for everyone that this meeting is being recorded, and both the video recording and a transcript of this meeting will be available on our website at some point after this meeting. So I guess that qualifies as the call to order and the roll call. I note that Vice Chair Paul White is present, Member Jim Mack is present, and Member Ron Kumitz is present. I believe that we are absent Co-Chair Neil and the two Mikes, Mike Donges and I'm having a total blank.
Michael Wright.
Michael Wright, and Mike
Okay.
Donges. So 4 constitutes a quorum, and with that, we'll get started. We have an agenda that was posted to our website and circulated to the members of the task force and the usual suspects who have expressed interest. And I would seek any input on approval or rearranging of the agenda from task force members who are present. Okay, hearing none, we arrive at public comment. As this is a special meeting and has a very relatively narrow purpose, which is the next agenda item. I will limit folks to 5 minutes apiece if they choose to offer public comment. If there's anyone present who wishes to offer public comment, could you please raise your hand or speak up?
Steve Whitaker here.
Very good, sir. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm the only one. I'm Steve Whitaker from Montpelier, one of the usual suspects in that introduction. I want to comment on the need to hit the ground running when these contracts potentially get signed. And I'm not privy to the proposals for project managers, but finding a project manager who's got some alignment or even familiarity with the history of the regional dispatch work group and the potential need to rapidly get their head around potential pilot projects is essential. I can't continue to do all that work plus some for free. And I look forward to y'all having somebody who's answering to you directly to your priorities. But in that, is that my phone or yours? I'm getting a ring.
Yeah, I think that was you, Steve. Go ahead, try again.
I'm in a bad spot, I think, for cellular. Map that. So I think that, again, I want to reiterate, because I failed to mention that not only does the task force have to approve conceptual pilot projects, but the Joint Fiscal Committee has to approve pilot projects before the end of the year if it's going to commit money to move forward. And the risk of not doing so is that you open up the whole agenda to one, months of delay while legislation moves, and two, a lot of political, what we saw last year, lack of understanding of what it takes to get the job done, and a lot of political pressure from unseen forces kind of manipulating the process. So I would encourage you to do your darndest to get a conceptual pilot project approved by not only the task force, but by the Joint Fiscal Committee before the end of the year in order to keep the momentum up and make it possible to meet the reporting deadlines. It may be that you won't have signed contracts through the administration until sometime in November. And as you all know, I have proposed getting out there and collecting some data ahead of time to stay ahead of that process so that they have something to work with to potentially meet that deadline. So I encourage you to interview project managers or take your time in doing that to find someone who can both bridge the gap, who's familiar with what's going on in Vermont with both broadband and public safety planning and regional dispatch planning, who this person, project manager, I believe is going to have to be a point person in legislative discussions, more so than any one member of the board. I suspect that Chair Morrison is going to be spread pretty thin to be able to answer all the legislative questions. So to the degree you can keep this on track for pilot projects being approved by the end of the year and get the data collected so that that's possible, and interview your people, your project manager people, probably in the context of the big subject matter expert proposals. I don't know if any of them are proposing project managers, but it's clear that you're going to need someone with local knowledge, with public safety experience, and with a ability to work across lanes into the cellular discipline, into the public safety discipline, into the fiber discipline. So I think that's probably my best recommendation for now. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Whitaker. Does anyone else have public comment to add?
Commissioner, this is Phil Sisk. I have just a question, not a comment, but a question.
Okay, go ahead, Phil.
Do you anticipate, based on the agenda, do you anticipate coming back into public session to talk about the selection on the project managers?
I don't know. I'm not sure exactly where we're going to go in executive session. So I don't know how to answer that because I don't know what the other three folks are going to have for a thought process once we adjourn to executive session. So if we are going to come back and do anything other than close out the agenda, we could certainly have Callie send a text out. Would that be helpful?
That would be very,
so.
that would be very helpful.
All right. If you would like Callie to text you if we come back to discuss anything of substance, could you drop your phone number in the chat or ensure that she has it? You can direct message it to her on the screen.
Okay. Will do.
Well, I'm unable, this is Steve Whitaker, I'm unable to do that direct message. So if Callie could, well, if she just, I guess, send the transcript at minimum quickly and try to phone me if you're going to go back into public session.
Well, we have to come back to public session to set the next meeting date. And there is a placeholder for a potential vote regarding next steps. So we're coming back to public session, whether or not that is to vote on anything of substance or merely to say, we got nothing to vote on and we're setting a date. That remains to be seen. I think that's the outstanding question.
Well, yeah, I'll be content without a phone call or a text, just a transcript ASAP.
Yeah,
Thank
I'll
you.
send you
Very
the
good.
transcript after, Stephen.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any other public comment or question? Okay, hearing none. We have received, we'll move to the next agenda item, which is the Little RFP responses and evaluating those responses. Those responses have been circulated to the 7 task force members for a read through in advance of today's meeting, as they're quite a many pages long and require some focus on them. And so I would leave it up to my task force members if there is a motion in the offing or a determination that the task force would be at a substantial disadvantage if we were to discuss potential contract content, and this topic generally. So I will open the floor to my colleagues at this point.
This is Paul. I will move that the task force finds that premature public knowledge about the RFP responses would place the task force at a disadvantage.
I will second that motion.
Thank you, Ron. Very good. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, polling the 4 task force members, all those in favor, raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
And anyone
Aye.
opposed? Thank you, Ron. That's 4 ayes, and that means there's not going to be any opposed. Very good. I will now entertain a motion to leave the public meeting and go into executive session.
So moved.
Seconded.
Very good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Very good. That's 4. Even I can count to 4, Callie. So that's 4, and there are no nays or abstentions. And with that, we will leave this public link and we will move to the executive session link. Thank you all very much.
I'll be temporarily stopping the recording.